The fairy type is one of the strongest types in all of Pokemon, and because of this, I wanted to see if I could beat Pokemon Ultra Sun only using fairy types. But just to make this run a little bit more agonizing, I'm going to be adding on hardcore Nuzlocke rules to make it even more difficult. With all that being said though, let's see if I can do this. I start off my journey by picking up my Poplio that I named Cool, who will later evolve into Primarina, which I can use in the run. After this, I go help out Lily on the bridge, but to be honest with you, I don't know why I did this. I literally put my life on the line for a girl I didn't even know. Regardless, I then get taught how to catch a Pokemon for probably the 100th time in my life, and I witnessed this poor Grubbin get smacked by a Pokeball. At this point, I go through some really weird story, and I then am able to catch my first real Pokemon, Cutiefly. I name her Classic, and that means I'm off towards my first trial. This trial is against Gumshoos, and yes, that's a real Pokemon. He's pretty easy to beat though, as I've just got to spam Struggle Bug until he and his SOS Pokemon go down. After a couple of turns, I get my first Z Crystal, and I then have to move to Molayne Meadow, where I'm able to catch my next Pokemon, Flabebe. I name her Sour, and I then remember why I'm in the meadow, and that's to help Lily find Cosmog again. Thankfully, this time I don't have to put my life on the line, but seriously Lily, you have a bag for a reason. With her out of the way, I'm ready to fight Hala. Now usually this would be one of the hardest battles in the run. Hala's team is really good early on in the game, but it doesn't really matter if you have fairy types. I mean, I'm 4 times resistant to pretty much all of his moves. And since Fairy's super effective, that means that his Machop, Makahita, and Crabrawler all go down to 2 Draining Kisses, which wins me my first grand trial. At this point, I'm on to Akala Island, and to get there, I've got to do some Mantine surfing, which I quickly figure out I am not so good at. After getting dunked a couple of times, I find myself on Akala Island. Once I'm here, my Flabebe evolves, and I get to witness the greatest Pokemon of all time, Miltank. Sadly, Miltank isn't a fairy type, so I can't actually use him in this run, but it doesn't even matter because I get to catch another really good Pokemon on this route, and that's an Eevee. This thing took me way too long to find in the grass, but I don't even care because I can evolve it pretty much immediately into Sylveon. With the new team member, I'm able to stomp Gladion in a battle and make my way towards the second trial. In this fight with Totem Araquanid, I decide to lead with Sylveon. Because Araquanid is pretty fast, he ends up hitting me with a bubble, but since it really doesn't do that much damage at all, I'm able to go for a Draining Kiss and pretty much regain all of my HP. At this point, the SOS Pokemon comes down, and Araquanid and Dewpider hit me with bubble, but they're not really that powerful, so I'm able to go for a Swift, bringing them both down to about half. I then get hit with another bubble, allowing me to eat my Oranberry and go for a Draining Kiss, bringing Araquanid down to about a third. At this point, a Swift and Quick Attack combo is enough to take out the Araquanid, and after this, I finish off the Dewpider with a Draining Kiss, winning me my second trial. With that, I'm on to what could be the hardest trial of this run with Totem Marowak. Marowak actually really isn't the problem here. The real issue is Salazzle that he calls down for help. This thing is a poison type special attacker that can pretty much dominate every Pokemon on my team. Before the fight, I was looking to see if there was any possible way to beat this thing without losing a Pokemon, and to my surprise, there is. So I decided to backtrack and talk to this girl who lets me know what my hidden power is, and thankfully it's water. Now I move back to Totem Marowak and I challenge him. For this, I lead with Salt as Marowak sets up a Detect, but I don't actually go for an attacking move here, setting up a Reflect. Salazzle then comes down and I need to take her out right away, but first she ends up hitting me with a Venoshock and I get hit with a Flame Wheel. Thankfully I set up that Reflect earlier in the battle so I don't take as much damage from that Flame Wheel as I could have, and I then am able to finish off Salazzle with a one-shot with Hidden Power. Now all that's left is Marowak, so I go for a Hidden Power and he blocks it with Detect. He then goes for a Flame Wheel, bringing me down to 44 HP as I go for a Hidden Power, bringing him down to half. At this point you'd think I'd be good, but I'm actually not, as on the next turn I go for another Hidden Power and he blocks it again, but this time my Reflect actually runs out. This allows him to get a massive Flame Wheel off in the next turn, bringing me all the way down to 10 HP before I finally finish him off with a Hidden Power, winning me my third trial. That battle was actually really close. I mean, one critical hit could have ruined my chances of winning. Looking back, I could have easily just gone back to Molayne Island and caught myself a Carbink. It's cool though because I didn't lose a Pokemon, and after this, I'm actually ready to challenge my next trial immediately. This one's against Lurantis, and this battle is made a whole lot easier when my Cutiefly evolves into Rabombi. This fight only took me a minute to complete, so I'm not going to bore you with the details, but simply put, Lurantis gets destroyed. After the battle, I'm off to go find Olivia so I can challenge her to the second grand trial, and once I get into the next town, I find this guy who says, should I risk a broken heart or should I not and live in uncertainty? And you can literally just say bye to this guy. I don't know, it's so cruel. Either way, after I blast by him, I find my way to Olivia and I fight her for the grand trial of this island. She leads the battle with Anorith as I lead with Classic, and right away I go for a Pollen Puff that almost one-shots, but Anorith stays alive and hits me for some pretty big damage. Olivia then heals, and I finish off Anorith with a Pollen Puff and Drain Kiss. She then brings out Laleep, and I decide to switch into Salt. Against this thing, I set up 5 workups, and I eventually go for a Draining Kiss, one-shotting this thing in the process and leading into Olivia's final Pokemon, Lycanroc. Lycanroc moves first and decides to go for a Bite for some reason, and since that's not very effective, I'm easily able to get off a Draining Kiss, finishing off Lycanroc with a one-shot and winning my battle against Olivia. After this battle, I then go to the Aether Paradise. I then storm through that place and make my way to Ula'ula Island, where I kinda go on a catching spree. I catch myself a Carbink, Mawile, Mr. Mime Jr., and a Comfey. I then fight Hao in a rival battle, and he's actually a pushover, so I'm able to defeat him pretty easily, and I then do a little bit more story and catch myself a Shiinotic and Clefairy. With that, I'm ready to start the next trial, so I capture all the Chargebugs, including the one that's running for its life, and I fight Totem Togedemaru. For this battle, I lead with Shiinotic as I get hit for some massive damage with an Iron Head immediately, but thankfully my ability activates and that means Togedemaru falls asleep. This allows me to get off a clean Strength Sap, and that lowers Togedemaru's attack by 1 stage. Skarmory then comes down, so I decide to switch into Mawile, and because I have Intimidate, I lower both of their attack stats. And since Togedemaru is still asleep, I'm able to freely set up 3 consecutive Iron defenses. Now I can finally start attacking, so I go for a Crunch on Togedemaru, not doing really any damage at all, but I do get a defense drop. They both hit me for minimal damage, and on the next turn I do the same thing, this time going for a Brick Break on Togedemaru. At this point, I'm getting a little bit scared they're bringing me too low, so I decide to Baton Pass switch into Assault. Baton Pass is a move that switches out the user, and when the next Pokemon comes in, it keeps all the stat changes. This means that my Sylveon is at +6 defense, and that means I'm pretty much easily able to sweep. The only thing I gotta do to do this is set up a couple of workups and constantly Draining Kiss this Skarmory. Once Skarmory goes down, I turn my attention to Togedemaru, and sadly he calls down for help, bringing down a Dedenne. Thankfully, it ends up being alright, but I do get brought down pretty low in this fight, and eventually once Togedemaru and Dedenne both go down, I win my 5th trial. I then go to fight Guzma, and his team is usually really good against mine, but since my Fairy types basically fully counter him, I end up winning this battle pretty easily. Now, I'm allowed to get my Mudstale Radpager, and as I move on to the next route, I catch myself a Dedenne. I named this thing Cheddar, and would you just look at that cute face? Definitely a top 2 Pikachu clone in my book. Anyways, I'm off towards the Ghost Trial, and before I get here, I just want to say that only 4.6% of my viewers are actually subscribed, so if you're enjoying the content, please consider subscribing, it really helps me out. Now, I'm on to my Ghost Trial, and did this scene scare anyone else as a kid? I don't know, I just remember being absolutely horrified of this scene. I really don't remember why. Either way, after I get a quick pick, I'm ready to fight Mimikyu. I lead this fight with Mawile just to get off an Intimidate, and immediately I decide to switch into Cheddar. Cheddar gets hit for some huge damage here, bringing her all the way down to 59 HP, and on the next turn, I can't even get a move off before I get finished off by a Play Rough. That's the first death of the run, but to be honest, it doesn't even matter, because we just lost a sorry Pikachu clone, so I don't even care, so it's whatever. I switch back into Mawile to set up another Intimidate, and I then start to set up Iron defenses so I can Baton Pass. Sadly, I get hit by a Curse, so I feel forced to switch right away, so I Baton Pass into Primarina. I didn't actually know this, but apparently the Curse stays with the Baton Pass, so I end up getting brought down really low right when I switch in. Even with this though, I still decide to stay in on the next turn and go for a Sparkling Aria that finishes off the Bayonet and breaks Mimikyu's disguise. I end up getting brought down to 14 HP before I switch into Sylveon. With Sylveon, I set up a workup and go for a Shadow Ball that brings Mimikyu down to half, as Mimikyu did some pretty big damage to me over time. Mimikyu calls Jellicent down for help, and I can't risk switching out, so I decide to stay in with Sylveon, and I get hit for some pretty big damage by a Play Rough, bringing me down to 23 HP as I go for a Shadow Ball, finishing off Mimikyu. Now all I gotta do is survive a Water Pulse, and I do, surviving at 5 HP, and with that, I can switch into Shiinotic and finish off Jellicent, winning me my 6th trial. Now that I've won the trial, I can actually head back into the supermarket and catch myself a Mimikyu. This is amazing for my team, and after I catch Mimikyu, I name her Chili. After I catch Mimikyu, I've then got to go fight Guzma again, and this battle goes even easier than before, so Guzma, you're not even worth the screen time. I've then got to fight the Grand Trial of this island, and I actually walked into this battle by accident. I wasn't paying attention, and I clicked yes, so the battle started. This means I'm a little bit underprepared and a little bit underleveled going into this fight. Regardless of that though, I lead the battle with Sylveon as he leads with Sableye, and right away he hits me with a Fake Out and then a Shadow Ball, but since they don't really do that much damage, I'm able to heal all of that off with a Draining Kiss. On the next turn, I get hit with another Shadow Ball, but it really doesn't matter at this point as I finish off the Sableye with another Draining Kiss. Krokorok comes out next and goes for a Swagger right away, confusing me, but it really doesn't matter as I'm able to finish him off with a single Moon Blast. Last out is Persian, and all I gotta do here is get through the confusion, and thankfully I do pretty quickly, and with that, Persian goes down to a single Moon Blast, winning me my third Grand Trial. Now, I've got to go to the Aether Paradise, and the only reason I'm here is because I've got to save Lily and her Cosmog for about the 1000th time in the run. To do this, I've got to fight Lily's mom, which is kinda weird, and I then find out Lily's mom freezes Pokemon in blocks of ice, which is also kinda weird. Regardless of all that though, I've got to battle Lusamine, and this battle is kinda hard. The first half of the battle really isn't hard, but as soon as we get to Beware, a problem comes up. This thing hits like a truck. Most of the Pokemon I send out on this thing get brought down to half right away, so I can't even stay in for more than 2 turns. Eventually though, I send in Classic, who gets hit with a Zen Headbutt, and it doesn't do half, so I feel safe enough to go for a Dazzling Gleam. I instantly realize this is a pretty bad decision, as Beware only has to go for a takedown to finish off Classic. I decide to take this risk, and I bring Beware down really low as I get hit with a Drain Punch for some reason, allowing me to stay alive and go for another Dazzling Gleam in the next turn, finishing off Beware and winning me my battle against Lusamine. After that fight, Lusamine fully goes crazy and decides to jump into an Ultra Wormhole for literally no reason. Her doing this doesn't really affect me though, so I just decide to go to Pony Island. On this island, there's really not that much to do, so after I get my Sunflute, I immediately go to challenge Totem Como-Oh. I start this battle off with the typical Intimidate strategy, and I then decide to switch into Sylveon. At this point, Como-Oh is down 2 attacks, so he's not really that big of an issue anymore, so I decide to go for a Draining Kiss, which doesn't do that much damage because of the berry, but on the next turn, I'm able to finish him off with a Moon Blast. Before I finished him off though, I ended up getting hit for some massive damage by a Poison Jab just because my defense got lowered by that Noivern. Now for Noivern, all I gotta do is switch into Mimikyu and go for a single play rough, winning me my 7th trial. Now, after all that, I witnessed what's probably the coolest cutscene in all of Pokemon, and I've got to fight Ultra Necrozma. This fight is almost impossible to win with Brute Force, so I decide to not use any Brute Force at all. I lead this battle with Mimikyu, and immediately my disguise gets broken by a Smart Strike, but it really doesn't matter as all I need to do here is set up Toxic. With my Toxic set up, I'm able to play this really lame strategy of throwing in all of my bad Pokemon and just spamming Protect until I win this fight. With that, my death toll raises by 2, and I'm ready to challenge the final trial of this run. This fight is against Totem Ribombee, and for this, I decide to lead with Mawile. Right away, I set up a Toxic as Ribombee sets up a Quiver Dance. On the next turn, she calls down a Pelipper, and they both decide to set up as I go for an Iron Head on Ribombee, doing about a third. Ribombee makes a really weird decision here and decides to set up a third Quiver Dance instead of taking out Mawile. On that same turn, Pelipper ends up doing some massive damage to me, but it doesn't matter at this point, as all I gotta do is get off another Iron Head on Ribombee, and the Toxic damage is able to take her out. With that, I switch around a little bit, and eventually I'm able to take out the Pelipper with a Giga Drain. Now, I decide to backtrack quite a bit so I can get myself a Miracle Seed. This Miracle Seed is extremely important in my fight with Hapu, and she decides to lead with Golurk as I lead with Sour. At this point, Sour's fully evolved, so I'm able to set up a Calm Mind as Golurk hits me with a Stealth Rock, not doing any damage. On the next turn, I set up a second Calm Mind as Golurk hits me for some pretty big damage, but it really doesn't matter as I'm able to heal most of it off with a Giga Drain on the next turn, one-shotting Golurk in the process. Now here's the real problem, Mudstale. The reason I set up 2 Calm Minds is so that I can one-shot this thing. And I did the damage calcs, and with 2 Calm Minds, if I got a low damage roll, I can't actually kill it. But with a Miracle Seed, I 100% can. And that's why I got that earlier. Oh, it feels good. Gastrodon should go down to a one-shot here. And I sweep, baby! A sweep! Moonblast to kill this thing, and that's it. Hapu's done. Final Grand Trial, done. With that, I head to Mount Kahili and catch myself my final Pokemon, Alolan Vulpix. I name her Sour because I'm running out of nicknames, and I then evolve it into Alolan Ninetales. With that, I find Necrozma just lying here, and I'm not going to battle him, it's a Nuzlocke, so I just move past him and find myself fighting Kahili in my first Elite Four battle. Kahili leads the battle with Braviary as I lead with Honey. Braviary hits me with a Brave Bird as I go for an Iron Defense, and the same cycle happens 2 more times. Once I'm at +6, Braviary hits me with an Air Slash, and I decide to move out with Baton Pass. I decide to switch into Sour and set up a nasty plot as I get hit with a Scary Face, lowering my speed a ton. At this point, I can't really restart the process, so I've just got to stick through it, and I decide to go for an Ice Beam on Braviary, one-shotting in the process. Hawlucha is sent out next, and he hits me with a Poison Jab, but it doesn't actually do that much damage because of all the Iron Defenses I set up, and with that, I'm able to one-shot him with an Ice Beam. Mandibuzz is sent in, and thankfully, I'm able to one-shot her with an Ice Beam as well. Toucannon goes in, and he could do some pretty big damage to me, but thankfully, I'm able to get off an Ice Beam before I get hit by him, meaning I'm able to one-shot. Oricorio is last, and I just go for a single Ice Beam, winning me my first Elite Four battle. Next up is Acerola, and for this battle, I lead with Sylveon as she leads with Bayonet. Bayonet hits me for some pretty good damage, but thankfully, I'm able to get off a Shadow Ball in one shot. Next out comes Frostlass, and I get confused by a Confuse right here, but thankfully, I'm able to get through it and almost one-shot Frostlass with a single Shadow Ball. Acerola heals, and this kind of puts me in a weird position, so I decide to go for a Calm Mind, and thankfully, I get through the confusion again. Frostlass ends up confusing me again, but thankfully, I'm able to get through it once more, and with that, Frostlass goes down. Delmise gets sent in, and I end up hitting myself twice in confusion and getting hit with 2 consecutive slams, bringing me all the way down to 51 HP. So with that, I decide to switch into Classic, and I'm able to finish off Delmise with 2 Bug Buzzes. Once Palossand comes out, I know I'm going to get hit by a Z-move, and since none of my Pokemon can tank that Z-move, I decide to stay in with Classic and go for an Energy Ball. This Energy Ball does half to Palossand, and thankfully Palossand doesn't use the Z-move for some reason, and ends up going for a Shadow Ball that brings me all the way down to 8 HP. With that, Palossand gets finished off by another Energy Ball, and Drifloon is sent out last. After a couple of turns, Drifloon goes down, and that means I'm on to my next Elite Four battle with Olivia. She leads the battle with Armaldo as I decide to lead with Honey. I set up 2 Iron Defenses as Armaldo hits me with 2 Crush Claws, but it doesn't do much damage, so I'm able to Baton Pass switch. I move into Ninetales so I can go for Ice Beam, and I end up doing half with 1 as Armaldo misses a Rock Blast, so on the next turn, I'm able to take him out. With that, Olivia sends in her next Pokemon Gigalith, and I immediately go for an Ice Beam here that actually freezes, but sadly, Gigalith thaws out right away and hits me for an Iron Head, so I'm kinda scared to stay in, and I decide to switch into Mawile. With Mawile, I decide to set up 3 consecutive Iron Defenses as Gigalith hits me for minimal damage. Now, I Baton Pass switch into Cool, where I'm able to do some big damage to Gigalith, one-shotting him in the process with a Sparkling Aria. Cordali comes in and is able to do some pretty big damage to me with Energy Ball, but eventually I am able to take her out by going for a couple of Moon Blasts. I'm now down to 64 HP when Lycanroc comes out, and I don't want to switch out, so I decide to go for a Sparkling Aria as I get hit with a Stone Edge, doing minimal damage, allowing me to one-shot Lycanroc in the process. With that, Olivia sends out her final Pokemon Probopass, and this isn't really an issue. I can just switch into Sylveon and take this thing out, and that means I beat Olivia. With that, I'm on to what could be my hardest battle of the run with the Steel-type Elite Four member, Molayne. Molayne leads the battle with Klefki as I lead with Sylveon. Klefki starts off this battle by doing some pretty big damage with a Flash Cannon as I decide to set up with a Calm Mind. On the next turn, Molayne sets up Spikes as I decide to set up another Calm Mind. Molayne then sets up a second Spikes as I decide to go for a Shadow Ball, doing about 2/3. Because of my leftovers, I'm basically at full HP at this point, and I then decide to go for a Reflect as there's no way I'm surviving any Steel-type moves that are physical. While I'm setting up Reflect, I end up getting paralyzed, and on the next turn, thankfully, I'm able to get through the paralysis and finish off Klefki with a Shadow Ball. We'd love to see it. We'd love to see it. With that Reflect setup, this Metagross, I don't think it can one-shot me. I don't think it can kill me. I gotta hit this Shadow Ball. It missed 2! It missed 2! It missed 2! Yes! Moonblast. Ah, that's gonna hurt. That's gonna hurt later in this battle. That's gonna hurt a lot with this Magnezone. I'll just go for a Shadow Ball. If it wants to go for a Screech, I'm fine. Come on. Come on. Get a crit. It's not gonna crit, but it's fine. Just don't kill. Yes! Yes! Now, Molayne's on to his final Pokemon Dugtrio, and I've got to make a sacrifice here. Sadly, this is the end of the run for Sylveon. I end up having to sacrifice him so I can get a clean switch into Cool, who one-shots Dugtrio, and that wins me my final Elite Four battle. Now, all that's left is the champion, and for this battle, all I have to do is hit a Bug Buzz on this Raichu right away, and if I'm able to kill this thing with a one-shot, I'll be able to win the fight. I only need to get it off once, too. I need to get off a single Bug Buzz before he hits me, and I win. Or that's how this fight will be won. If I hit this Bug Buzz and kill. It's grits. I won. I'm saying this really early, and I'm kind of regretting it because now I'm a little bit scared. It's cool, though, because, I mean, if he's going to use Inferno Overdrive now, I don't know why he did that. That was stupid. That was really stupid. I guess I'll just switch into Primarina. This is 100% going to kill, so. Here goes Incineroar. I'm up 1 right now. I'm up 1. Probably going to go for a Leaf Blade. Should be fine to switch into Sour here. Wow, that did a lot more damage than I thought it was going to. Doesn't matter, though. Ice Beam should kill. Should I... What should I do here? This thing has got a good moveset. You know what I'm going to do? I'm going to Baby Doll Eyes. I think that's best play. At this point in the fight, I switch into Primarina, and I go for a Sparkling Aria that finishes off Tauros with a one-shot. After this, House sends out Crabominable. I just gotta kill this thing with a Moonblast. I'm faster than it, so... Yes! Last Pokemon. Noivern. Come on. This should... Can this thing kill me? It can. It's gotta hit me for a lot of damage, though. Please. 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 If I flinch, I think I survive one more, but I can't flinch. Again. I can't. There's no options. If I flinch again, I lose. I can't flinch again. It kills. God. I didn't know it was going to kill. That flinch, man. That flinch really hurt me. I might be good. I might still be good. If Noivern can get... Avoided. Oh my gosh. Oh my gosh. Oh my gosh. This is so bad. This is so bad. Oh no. Oh my god. This is horrible. I just have to hit. I have to hit 1. I have to hit 1. Please. Come on. No! Oh my god! Dude! Please! 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 Come on, man! Dude, I just need to hit it. I just need to hit it one more time, please. Yes! 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 Let's go! Oh my god, dude! Dude, I saw it get to a sliver and I thought I was done. I thought I was over. Oh my god. Yes! It was a low damage roll. I'm so happy about that. I thought maybe... Oh, that's... Yes! God, that was such a good run, man. It really was. That was probably my favorite run of all time. I love this. Look at the team, too. This team is insane. That run was difficult. Oh, let's go. I only won that because of Sylveon and Mawile. Really did. Only won that because of Sylveon and Mawile. That was probably one of the funnest runs I've ever done. Just in total. In everything. Funnest run I've ever done right there. I really, really had fun doing that. That was amazing. It really was. Alright. That was an amazing run. Either way, the video ends here. If you guys like the video, please consider subscribing. It really helps me out. And with that being said, this was my attempt at a Pokemon Ultra Sun Hardcore Nuzlocke using only Fairy types.